Big up, big up, big up, everyone. Come on, man. The big Saturday stream with your boy Sniper and the rest of the crew. You get me? Yeah. So, anyway, done me little admin. Big up. Was light number one, Big Bad Jed's in the building. Illuminati Live. Come on. You get me? Trill Issa, light number two. JD, light number three. Luke A, night number four. We're borrowing it, sharing it. We're sharing it. We're sharing it. Big up, big up. Man like K, line number five in the building. Let's start as we mean to go on. You know, we do intro music.
I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, he's on fire. Johnny flavor them, way too much eat in my cranium. Like a hot boy push up geranium. Make the lava splash like I'm capable. Or the block like the sun boy. Jado, I'm not entertaining them. I got bruised on my fire for raining them. I'm a hot boy from Monday to Sunday. Run up your skin like the sun rays. So my man's gag, one sun gaze. Try to see the heat I'm projecting. I'm medium selecting. You know the eye has a deeper connection. With the ether, my chi is a weapon. I can melt concrete when I'm stepping. Cause I got the fire. I got the fire. I got the flame, the man them are liars, the man are not riders, the man them are strange, I'm trying to live righteous, but nothing like Mike, cause even nothing the same, do not roll with vipers, no wiping your snipers, quick to put one in your brain. We real ill, revolutionary but still deal. Red pill, chill, will kill. If I shoot, it won't be no nil-nil. We real ill, red pill, chill, will kill. If I shoot, it won't be no nil-nil. I get 2 for 1 like a meal deal. I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the fire. I got the flame, I got the fire.
There is not much they can say. We come with fire and rain, the essence of blessings and pain. Tsunami all over parade. We turn up and burn up brigades. Think you don't get in my way. Akibulanians up in the place. We do not play. We go when never expires. I got the fire, now who wants a flame? Huh? More time, I'm on my own wave. Scrap the book, I'm on my own page. White sparks, no cold gate. I got fire bars and that's cold flames. Now why would I lie? Look, I come with heavenly vibes. If ever you try, disrespect what's on the line, more than your ego will pride. Highly explosive. This shit will damage you. Ether is flammable. Highly corrosive. Don't make me get animal. Move how a savage do. Why'd you provoke it? The flow kicking like kangaroo. Head up and cabbage you. Rip and unravel you. Fire and brimstone should avidly roll.
I got the fire. I got the fire. I got the flame. I got the fire. I got the fire. I got the flame. I got the fire. I got the fire. I got the fire. I got the fire. I got the flame.
Fire in my soul, fire in my Ross drop belly. Anytime I rhyme is Shelly, he wanna get scolded. Fire for a chicken snitch dog, you know the cold man grow with. Young kiddies keep a mask and glove, 2 bells in a snub, they dodge more than COVID. And it's food for the dogs that they lost, ain't nothing ever done for showbiz. I talk to the real, don't care if the fake ones listen. I think fire on Ganja, more fire on Babylon system, free Brody in prison. Free the Brodies that think that they free, but they change to social addiction. Can't let go the phone, come like their whole soul is missing. I got the fire, I got the flame. The flow is insane, I drink till I'm drunk, then throw up on flames. Really don't play games, I don't know what them man thought. When I rhyme, I'm the human torch. I see a rhythm get torched. I wanna see a rhythm get bun down. When we land this slick, there's no sundown. Sweet one wants to get bum round. Make hood stand up and not calm down. Score pointing pussy like touchdown. I got the fire, I set shit ablaze. This fire can't tame, trying to lock it in cage. It's like war in the sun, so I'm gonna get blue.
I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the fire, I got the flame, I got the fire, I got the fire.
Come on. Sponsored by the Trill Network. You know how we roll. Get me. Make sure you hit up Trilluminati Clips, man. We need you. We need you, man. We need your subscription, man. Clips is fire, man.
Is your website bounce rate sky high? Find out why with Hotjar. Hotjar shows you how people interact with your site.
Shut up. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
You done know.
Done
Yeah,
know.
Todd's on Red Pill Trill. Venom and Carnage.
What we saying?
SMFY, Dirty Woke. You know what fucking time it is?
It's like assembly and that.
Alliance of Defiance. 2000 or something.
Black school. You
Do
get
this.
it? What?
Doggies, Venom and Carnage. I'ma show them the fire a man's armed with. I must have done about 20,000 24s. Eyes bleeding, dog. I done caught a body for some sleep. This lifestyle's fun, but it's dumb. Bagging all night till I lost feeling in my bum. Of course, this money's filthy. Hard to keep a clean heart when more time you're working with scum.
This is Carnage and Venom. Something through the side of your car and your denim. For my chargy, I'll get them. One blast to carve off half of your melon. Scream peace, 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 but doggy, I'll shell them. We ain't about the game. Made a song about whips and chains, but ain't about the slave. I love your baby mum for knowledge, but it ain't about a brain. Just screaming fire upon Babylon, but ain't about the flame.
Venom.
Anytime I rhyme, it's vomit. Guaranteed product, dog, I put my life on it. Flow sharp, bars cut like a Gillette to the jugular. Punchlines like a slap in the mouth, pussy pucker up.
Venom.
Don't pass the mic, cause that's a body. Rule speech, I'll leave a mess that you can't cover up.
Venom.
I know that everybody thinks they cruddy crud till Keelys run up in your yard while you think it's safe to cuddle up.
Make your girl's legs spread faster than Corona. I see a man's aura, disregard his persona. Violate the fam, I put your marge in a coma. Allow the same color as the arm of an ogre.
Every bar's a sting, it's like a bite from a cobra. Venom and Carnage, I'm full of shellings from my brother.
Cause it's a massive. You done know. Yeah, Todd's on Red Pill Trill. Venom and Carnage. SMFY, Dirty Woke. You know what fucking time it is? Alliance of Defiance. 2000 or something. Let's do this.
Doggies, Venom and Carnage. I'ma show them the fire a man's armed with. I must have done about 20,000 24s. Eyes bleeding, dog. I done caught a body for some sleep. This lifestyle's fun, but it's dumb. Bagging all night till I lost feeling in my bum. Of course, this money's filthy. Hard to keep a clean heart when more time you're working with scum.
This is Carnage and Venom. Something through the side of your car and your denim. For my chargy, I'll get them. One blast to carve off half of your melon. Scream peace, 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 but doggy, I'll shell them. We ain't about the game. Made a song about whips and chains, but ain't about the slave. I love your baby mum for knowledge, but it ain't about a brain. Just screaming fire upon Babylon, but ain't about the flames.
Venom.
Anytime I rhyme, it's vomit. Guaranteed product, dog, I put my life on it. Flow sharp, bars cut like a Gillette to the jugular. Punchlines like a slap in the mouth,
Pussy pucker up.
Don't pass the mic, cause that's a body. Rule speech, I'll leave a mess that you can't cover up.
Venom.
I know that everybody thinks they cruddy crud till Keelys run up in your yard while you think it's safe to cuddle up.
Make your girl's legs spread faster than
Corona.
I see a man's aura, disregard his persona. Violate the fam, I put your marge in a coma. Allow the same color as the arm of an ogre.
Every bar's a sting, it's like a bite from a cobra. Venom and Carnage, I'm full of shellings from my brother.
Cause it's a massacre. Every time this red bars, I'm like the dude with a chainsaw and leather mask. They wanna know where I'm from, but they never ask.
I'm from where it's forever green, but never grass. Man will cut you up and hide your body parts.
Phone crash into your forehead like a bumper car. I'm so hard I make your shadow scream.
Bumper club.
Hella hot. Anyway, they skid up's getting did up, and they won't even claim it, cause they don't need no big up. Young kiddies live wild, minimal smiles. Still they get about, they got hella street miles.
And I be shelling freestyle. Pop up on the up like what you telling me now. Back to the bone, I forever been down. Red pill Tods, we've never been clowns.
Unorthodox brother, I'm no stencil. DODC, I'm pure truth like a red pill.
Run up in your house like a treadmill. I kick you in your mouth while Tods holds your head still.
Come on. Big Saturday stream, you know what it is, man. Education Saturday, man. Main?
Yeah.
Every day sticky.
Yo. Todd. VPGSO.
Everyday sticky, you know how it go, dog. And you know how they stay, anybody can go, dog. Anybody can go. Drive the 4-liter 4-wheel drive like a go-kart. I know it's broke, oh no lavish. So point to where the cash is and watch me go and grab it. I'm just trying to keep my feet on the right path, whilst trying to keep my hands off that yayo and bike hard. Life's hard, but we knew that. So we organize the works and get to that. In the belly of the beast, everybody want a fee, everybody want a piece, so nobody's getting peace. Ain't no easy choices on this road to riches. None of them. I've seen stress break the realest niggas. Cause life's realer than the pictures, real shit. I've seen kids have grown men scared shitless. They out late like fuck the boogeyman. The only thing they running from is CID and bully vans. So dog, you can't debate with them, cause if you don't relate to them, they ain't hearing what you say to them. Everyday sticky, you know how it go, dog, and you know how they stay. Anybody can go, dog. Drive the 40 or 4-wheel drive like a go-kart. They peter at the pan, them boy don't grow up. They just show up. They are with a ram busy trying to take a man's soul. Fuck life, they want pussy and dog. So they robbing or they tow up anything to dodge these struggles trying to hold us. Anything to dodge these struggles trying to hold us, hold us, hold us. Dodge these struggles trying to hold us.
Come on. Big up everybody in the building. Jeez. Moroccan Israelite.
Next, Clean My Mac X is always the very first app I download and always the one that I recommend to others. They are today's video sponsor, but
shush.
Baby, your body banging like a.
Come on. Big up our video sponsor.
Baby, your body banging like a.
Jeez.
Fresh garments, matching your varnish. Baby, your body banging like a shotgun
cartridge. Baby, your body banging like a shotgun cartridge.
Fresh garments, matching your varnish. Baby, your body banging like a shotgun cartridge. Walking a party, looking all starish. Trying to introduce you to carnage. Baby, I'm a shark, not a starfish. Your ex-man was too soft, he was garbage. I make your old knee rub off on the carpet. She a ball for the chocolate. The old time me I clotted. Look what you started. Bend up your face like somebody farted. Right in the bed I said I'm wicked and I'm heartless. I just wanna boom boom shoot up the target. Mercy and nugget. And you not even asked yet. The sun I run, I'm in, I finished my task yet. Been I done a rum in my glass yet. I'ma put that pussy in a casket. Oh shit.
You can catch me in the morning. I ain't ever with the silence, so call me darling. You can catch me in the morning. Come over my place and show me something. I cannot stay, baby. Don't get upset and go crazy. I ain't got no time for no play. Play, get mine and do what's right, baby.
Baby cool, it says she want that morning wood. Want me set her morning good. And told her get ready to sit up on his hood. She said, yes sir, understood. She don't want a title, she want twerk it. Queen it while I pipe it just to show me how she squirt it. Dogger, body strong, she don't ram. Said her body's banging like a shell from a tank. She don't play no games, she know she worth it. She love balling out my name while I'm bending up her cervix. Wow, everything I give her, she deserve it. She go wilder than a circus. She want it on the bed, floor, sofa and the kitchen service. She want it full service. They're not sure if it's loving or murders. All of this before the work shift.
You can catch me in the morning. I ain't ever with the silence, so call me darling. You can catch me in the morning. Come over my place and show me something. I cannot stay, baby. Don't get upset and go crazy. I ain't got no time for no play. Play, get mine and do what's right, baby. You can catch me in the morning. I ain't ever with the silence, so call me darling. You can catch me in the morning. Come over my place and show me something. I cannot stay, baby. Don't get upset and go crazy. I ain't got no time for no play. Play, get mine and do what's right, baby.
Fresh garments, matching your varnish. Baby, your body banging like a shotgun. Baby, your body banging like
a shotgun cartridge. What they saying to us, man? What they saying, man? What they saying, man? Big Saturday stream, you know how it is.
Hi, my name is Alina, and I would like you to give you a few reasons why you should consider dating a young Slavic lady. You can choose a potential spouse from Ukraine, Russia, Belarus. Geography is boundless. Have you noticed that Slavic women have become more and more popular? I mean that they are everywhere.
Let's move forward. Let's go. Bob McLeod, pimping.
You know.
Venom. Put on my black fist, serve up white bits, but not everyday brekkie. Not everyday Nubian queen. Sometimes slops of Becky. Remember when we couldn't get lecky? Sometimes books and chess. Show me how sexy your mind is. Not everyday body and breast. Not everyday link the bros. But it's always love when we check it. Sometimes gotta ride clean. Not everyday carry the mashy. Not everyday link the wife. Gym jams and something sketchy. Not everyday peace and love. Sometimes gotta slap man for something petty. Tell young bro come out the kitchen. Not everyday be so chefy. But I tell him they know already. I came from mash and spaghetti. I'll go get. Give a fuck if they let me. Come on, bros down for the ride. Every day that thing's got paid. Done did my thing, still doing it now. So they gotta respect me. In it wasty, coming home late, all bloody and sweaty. Blood, sweat. Mum sees the vision, but she used to sweat me. Can't be on road without shit to show. Excuse not Mecky. It's not every day. Sometimes, in it. We shot in the rain, pray in the sunshine. It's not every day, but it's sometimes. These used to the future pray that they live through the knife and the gun crack. Not every day dirty, sometimes woke. Not every day calm, sometimes old. Not every day loud it, sometimes smoke. Sometimes nudge, sometimes poke. Sometimes fudge, sometimes cold. Sometimes I kiss that slow when I stroke. Sometimes I grab that bitch by her throat. Not every day club, sometimes home. Doing up flatmate with my chrome. Doing up roommate with my name. It's not every day that I work with a youth. Sometimes I'm just trying to get mine. It's not every day if you watch my business. Sometimes you should just live your life. For the big 4-5 pimps, you're right. Still big red pill never went soft.
Jeez. Come on.
You know.
Venom. Put on my black fist, serve up white bits, but not everyday brekkie. Come on, not everyday Nubian queen. You know. Sometimes slops of Becky. Remember when we couldn't get lecky? Sometimes books and chess. Show me how sexy your mind is. Not everyday body and breast. Not everyday link the bros. But it's always love when we check in. Sometimes gotta ride clean. Not everyday carry the mashy. Not everyday link the wife. Gym jams and something sketchy. Not everyday peace and love. Sometimes gotta slap man for something petty. Tell young bro come out the kitchen. Not everyday be so chefy. But I tell him they know already. I came from mash and spaghetti. I'll go get. Give a fuck if they let me. Come on, bros down for the ride. Every day that thing's got paid. Done did my thing, still doing it now. So they gotta respect me. In it wasty, coming home late, all bloody and sweaty. Blood, sweat. Mum sees the vision, but she used to sweat me. Can't be on road without shit to show. Excuse not Mecky. It's not every day, but it's sometimes in it. We shot in the rain, pray in the sunshine. It's not every day, but it's sometimes. These used to the future pray that they live through the knife and the gun crack. Not every day dirty, sometimes woke. Not every day calm, sometimes old. Not every day loud it, sometimes smoke. Sometimes nudge, sometimes poke. Sometimes fudge, sometimes cold. Sometimes I kiss that slow when I stroke. Sometimes I grab that bitch by her throat. Not every day club, sometimes home. Doing up flatmate with my chrome. Doing up roommate with my 9. It's not every day that I work with a youth. Sometimes I'm just trying to get mine. It's not every day if you watch my business. Sometimes you should just live your life. For the big 4-5 pimps, you're right. Still big red pill never went soft. Man told you that I did they lie. No stop working, no days off. I will split for my wings and fried. Man tried down my dance and they died. Trying to cut my pattern, I'm as random as they come. Making habits in the slums. Where they're scavenging for crumbs. Pushing packages for funds. I found magic in my tongue. Bars sound classic over drums. Man's erratic, you know what's static. Sometimes I would just pull up in traffic. Acting a fool with a matic. But every day kill your own. Sometimes let the real ops have it.
That's right.
It's not every day, but it's sometimes in it. We shot in the rain, pray in the sunshine. It's not every day, but it's sometimes. These used to the future pray that they live through the knife and the gun crack.
Come on. Classic. Venom and Carnage, man. Out on all platforms, man. Get that shit. Fire, man. Am I dancing in the yard and that? It's not every day. Me little brother, Countryside Project. Let's get it. Let's get it.
I've been away for a minute, now I'm back. I met a couple of soldiers, had to put them on this track. Fresh new artist, brand new swag. There ain't no competition, if there is, where they at? Where they at? Where they at?
Someone give me credit, I had manners when I ate it. My bangers are the realest, so your gang of fucking relics. I'm a savage, someone panic, clown just vanished, he just jetted. He can keep the records, we can leap and keep the checkers. Capiche, we be the killers on the street like sneaker stepping. We lead the league, you reppin'. There's me for me, we legend. We breathe for beef, we squeeze the E to G's, we fought by stepping. You phony, don't forget it. The chromies on the dress, I think I'm Tony, not Montana, man Soprano, take your cargo. I play Simon Cowell, I run your ex, you Gary Barlow. Papa power bread like Auto, Dream I bought a new Gallardo. Loving my Bagrado, Lano, I could take them all out. J-Lo, Beyonce, no A-Lo, just come spray. Block, I put a ring on it, married to the gunplay. Twisted mind, I'm a pitch tonight. Pure for granny, getting left behind, we moving. You statues, we trooping, you lads full.
Where I'm from, we don't mix business with benevolence. Never. We mash works, we lay low and clean the evidence. They don't even mention them niggas, they ain't relevant. I'm light years ahead and I ain't even in my element. Me and my brothers weigh up food and do the measurements. And we ain't stopping till we're balling like the president. Trying to be flyer than a pelican. Looking for betterment in a better residence. Right now I'm in Spring Hill. Spit sick like I've been ill. Allah forgive me, I sin still, but I praise a lot on my wings still. Tech calling my arse cheeks. Officers walking past me. Touchdown last week, what I got up to, dog, don't ask me. Drama all in my city, but I guess that's just where I came from. These avenues are so gritty, but I guess we all sing the same song. Still can't believe that the Wayne's gone. Still can't believe what Big Shane's gone. So act up on these streets and don't leave half of your face
I've
gone.
been away for a minute, now I'm back. Now I met a couple of soldiers, had to put them on this track. On this fresh new artist, brand new swag. There ain't no competition, if there is, where they at? I've been away for a minute, now I'm back. Now I met a couple of soldiers, had to put them on this track. On this fresh new artist, brand new swag. There ain't no competition, if there is, where they at? Where they at?
When I'm spitting on them tracks, all my raps got an elegant feel. Most these niggas straight fish, and they're trapped in a pelican's grill. I be constantly on the move, covered like to get a man killed. I'm a star, like the logo up on Captain America's shield. Ill, enough to break into a pharmacy. Pardon me, nobody's harming me. Can't you see it's in my artery? Start with me, I finish it. Witness this, a lyricist whose skill is just building this spliff insidious. Them idiots can't deal with this like Guinnesses. I'm dark, you get sparked for talking that hard shit. I'm laughing hard at your car, cause you bastards passing the casket. Arson is blasting the grass in arms still with partners. I've mastered the art of sending teeth to sharp, a shark through my target. Ain't come to lose, if I run into you, you done to doom. Leave tons of bruises, cause I don't scratch like the ones and twos. It's fun to prove, for I flop, I'd rather my lungs remove. When thunder flew, bet you jump like fire was under you.
Dunga man, call me Trevor man, it's all the same.
Who?
It's all the same. They call me Dunga man, call me Trevor man, it's all the same.
Who?
It's all the same. Feels great to be home, fam, there's nothing like freedom. Got no time for hellos, there be things that I'm needing. I grind all year round and I hustle all season. I got no time for a party, I'm taking baths on the weekends. Went away for some years, come like nobody cared. Hit the game real aggressive and now they wishing they shared. When they plead for forgiveness, I ignore all their tears. And when they put in their hand out, I just think of them years. I see in red, I feel to pop like a flare. Bullet wedge in his head, you smell the burners is here. Now they got the audacity to ask how I'm doing. And they never did jack for me when my life was in ruin.
I've been away for a minute, now I'm back. Now I met a couple of soldiers, had to put them on this track. On this fresh new artist, brand new swag. There ain't no competition, if there is, where they at? I've been away for a minute, now I'm back. Now I met a couple of soldiers, had to put them on this track. On this fresh new artist, brand new swag. There ain't no competition, if there is, where they at? Where they at?
For time of vacation, we ain't tight to gauge and lace I'm on the strap. Tight legal ways, I love my fan base so hype in the rave. It's red to the cover up the eyes with the shades. I'm five in the blaze line, so I'm spamming the game again, trying to come by for the fame. I'm not trying to come by for that cake, you get me, gift not get well on the mixtape set free, cause I'm the one. Gently, I'm something like a marshal the way that I set leads. That's me, so the haters say, but I said the best see. The word lay piece down, technique, kill the force and the spray. Jackson, one of the best of my bits, one of the best in the mids. But I ain't been around for some time, but I'm back. I'm that black cloud up in grime. Yeah, I've been grounded at times, but I'm back proudly of flight as I was before. I went paid for certain times surrounded with guys with envy that's clouded the mind. We know on the board, like a foot down on the mind. Oh, we get that sound, cause it's mine. Soon you'll see why I'm crowded with vibe. You won't wanna get right with your side, cause I'll take man straight to town with the hype. Shout with rights, leave my face like a similar to what it would look like if I was gone, but in the nigga down with the nine, back to the point. Why am I announcing the eye? Hey, having it like, why did he try? Hey, I'm a silly boy tip this shit, I'm straight up hanging my ass in the dry. Yeah.
Remember, I ain't talking about the watch. Presidential sweeping up niggas like my watch. Bitch full of veneers, so she like to smile a lot. Pagans come around, yes, she likes to finger fuck, so she bust one, then bust two. Stop niggas, I see you. Russian, German, coming twos. Don't forget the China too. Are you insane? You best boat. Undertaker, tombstone. But Levy says, don't approach the aftermath. Death row. Got your mom and I'm shedding tears, cause you was gassing with your peers. Now looking like a silly sod. Smoked fried potato cod, now take me with a pinch of salt. Pepper red Tabasco sauce. Politics don't discriminate, especially when in that gunplay. For every show there is a rap. For every pussy there is a back. For every snake that you can catch, cremate them. Plus the ash, cause every G should wash stash. Every head get thrown in trash. Every thread go dying mask. Give us back what he once had.
I've been away and they've been asking where the killer's at. Surprise, surprise, now I'm back like still a black. You know what does this, I ain't standing butt kiss. If you're at what list, I get your touch quick in the flash. Black tee, orange bandana and my kicks clean. My shit don't stink, bitch, I'm a piss clean. They call me GK, I'm in jail on weekdays. I love you wifey, play my mixtape on replay. She got it off eBay on prepaid. You gals in boxes, GK, 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 GK. When I see a gal, I'm like BJ, BJ. If you don't know, let me show you what it really is. I'm about making money and gal that wanna eat my jizz. I've been locked down in the system, don't wanna see me live. So I roll with Peter and put it in the wrist.
Watch out, watch out. This track is a travesty. I'm banging out these beats while I'm working for Her Majesty. Yeah! I churn them out casually. Atlas is the name, but Atlas Sounds is the bakery. Okay. I've got the vital recipe. I've rounded up the troops to swoop like a pack of Guinness B. There really ain't no stopping them now. So what it's gonna be is a bag of hungry goon bags manning up the industry. You MCs don't want it now. I can smell your fear. I can tell you ain't on it. Like, where you going now, bro? Why the hell you running? You a gangster on the mixtape. I guess you man were fronting. It's a big man thing now. So tell me what the deal is. Many man can spit bars, but their flows are not appealing. I am sending out a message cause the game it needs a cleaning. You have now been relegated, so I'm bringing a new team. I've been away for a minute. Now I'm back. Now I met a couple of soldiers. Had to put them on this track. On this fresh new artist, brand new swag. There ain't no competition. If there is, where they at. I've been away for a minute, now I'm at. Now I met a couple of soldiers, had to put them on this track. On this fresh new artist, brand new swag. There ain't no competition if there is, where they at, where they at, where they at. Where are you? I've told you. The game's shut down right now. Yeah, we does this. Yeah. Travesty. The track is a travesty. Bear man on the track. If you really think you're up to it, then step up to the plate or shut your mouth. We're done. We out.
This is your captain. This is your captain. This is your captain. This is your captain. This is your captain.
Big up JD, big up all the family in the building, man, like Randy. You get me? Yeah, Blaze! Let's do this! Come on. The first one.
Giving niggas guidance, alliance to defiance. I'm on freedom or violence. Speaking my truth, no one's keeping me silent. Sling shots like I'm David when he was beating Goliath. Catapulted into my life, I collided with giants. With a mind deeper than a trident. Held in a palm of Poseidon. I'm like a tsunami to pirates, get down in my way, but I fly like a pilot. Haters can't cope, my aura's too vibrant. Girls wanna show me their private. More time, I wanna live alone on an island. Alone when I close off my eyelids. Look close, you might see a ghost in my iris. Please don't approach when I'm like this. At a kiss, I mix DMT with some cannabis. Not sure if I'm woke as I write this. Would I ride for my G's? Yeah. Get my phone on silent. Yeah.
Do I despise the police? It's Kobe's last name Brian. I know some activists, I know some lifers, man, I know some savage shit, man, living righteous. I know some dogs only roughing it cyber. I know some thugs that are actually riders, don't know my destiny. But my past says I'm a survivor. My probation officer says I should be in an asylum. Cause I said the queen does witchcraft. There's no curve when I watch the horizon. If life is a game, at the end you face the last boss like bison. Clipping a grabber, clip like a ladder, riding for a block full of pythons. Dodging a slammer, it's hot in the...
Come on, pull up on that one, man. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Kobe Bryant, you know?
This is your captain, 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 this is your captain.
They got big bad red pill trail, man. Ruh, ruh, ruh. Going that helicopter death. What, too early? No.
Even niggas guidance, alliance to defiance. I'm on freedom or violence. Speaking my truth, no one's keeping me silent. Sling shots like I'm David when he was beefing Goliath. Catapulted into my life, I collided with giants. With a mind deeper than a trident, held in a palm of Poseidon. I'm like a tsunami to pirates, get drowned in my way, but I'm fly like a pilot. Haters can't cope, my aura's too vibrant. Girls wanna show me their private. More time, I wanna live alone on the island. I zone when I close both my eyelids. Look close, you might see a ghost in my iris. Please don't approach when I'm like this. At a kiss, I mix DMT with some cannabis. I'm sure if I'm woke, cause I write this. Would I ride for my G's? Is my phone on silent? Do I despise the police? Is Kobe's last name bragging? I know some activists, I know some lifers, man, I know some savage shit, man, living righteous. I know some dogs only roughing it cyber. I know some thugs that are actually riders, don't know my destiny. But my past says I'm a survivor. My probation officer says I should be in an asylum. Cause I said the queen does witchcraft. There's no curve when I watch the horizon. If life is a game, at the end you face the last boss like bison. Clipping a grabber, clip like a ladder, riding for a block full of pythons. Dodging a slammer, it's hot in the manor. We are not stopping for sirens. My son's friends got stabbed in the heart. I could not stop him from crying. Hope he knows he's a king with bulletproof wings. No weapon could stop him from flagging. The air is so toxic, it's frightening. AI and robots are rising. They're studying Madame Blavatsky and Alice the Cardi. We're shotting for diamonds, shopping for items, besotted with icons.
Man.
It's true talk whenever my mic's on. Bloodbath in the streets, keep a tool in my waist and my heart on my sleeve. Why is that the magi? Following the star of the east, where the rich get fat, man, is starving to eat. I think cryptocurrency, the mark of the beast. I can smell blood like a shark in the sea. Michelle is a man and Obama's a dream. Laying spark in the park after dark. We want the shotgun gun to the bark of the tree. Sometimes I wanna ask if my seed inherited negative karma for me. It's getting harder to sleep.
Mud. Fire. If you ain't heard Kobe Bryant, you dead, man. You out. You out sing. You out sing. You out sing. Yeah, you out sing.
Fugs in the quick of the dead. You in the night, come walk the strip with the jets. Alright, and come walk the strip with the jets. Have you ever seen a grown man pissing in his bed? Section of the head. Oh, something peace believe him. Welcome to the land of the fugs in the GBH. Students take food induction. Yeah, a G is a grand. I spit boxes, it's a curical ban. If you're scared and you're prang, if you just come out of jail and you land. If you got punched, you got sparked or bang. If you breathed out, you ran. If you hung around, you caught or jammed. If you're poor in your breath, paper, cheddar, funds, loot is your cash. If you got robbed, you got jacked. If you're man, you're fat. If you spit and you rap, if you're rubbish or whack, you blaze ting, you smoke crack. And it is a cat. If they're not on your level, they're minors. Upload with shiners. You flex gums, you wear designers. Pum pum with vaginas. Yeah. Or always an ounce to leave is the bounce. Your yard is your house. If you holler, you shout. A cigarette is a snout or a fox. Your boys are your dogs, a kiss is a snog or a lips, a zoot is a split, your train is a kick, your girl is a chick. If she's got big tits, round arms and slim hips, then she's tick. Your gun is your stick, your gang is your click, a robbery is a lick. And if you're mashing peas and you're rich and in, form as a snitch or a grass, your back is your arse, your rip is your car, a long ting is too far. A handbag is a tech, a whore is a sket. We linked up, we met, if I walked it, we had sex. A knife is a borer, a Henry's an ace, a daughter's a quarter, Charlie's cocaine and government juice is tap water. A haircut is a trim. If you're marker, you're thin. If you bleach, you lighten your skin. You skin teeth and you grin. If it's overdone, it's done. If I bust and I come, got burgled, you got drummed. If I'm missing, I'm gone. Welcome to the land of the quick and the dead. Fling on your Nikes and come walk the strip with the jets. Have you ever seen a grown man piss in his bed with a stick to the head? All for the shit that he said. Welcome to the land of the quick and the dead. Fling on your Nikes and come walk the strip with the jets. Have you ever seen a grown man piss in his bed with a stick to the head? All for the shit that he said. Here is South, we got it all. Chicks, funds, whips, guns, there's tons of bricks in Brixton. Blood don't mock me, they blow your brains out in broccoli. Beat a baby boo in Bermondsey, then boot her right in Bromley. Get your wig twisted backward, for busting joke like Richard Blackwood. It's sick King Catford, and crazy coons cut their hammers well in Camberwell. Got CCTV to make the cameras fail. Disperse metal with your fuggish, you'll pray with your minister. Dirty devils and Dulwich don't delay with their diligence. Deserving medals for courage, they aim and get sinister. Them dogs down in Deptford ain't really in a star, but that's irrelevant. Let the eagle echo an elephant. Escape through estates and leave no evidence. It's ghetto down in Gypsy Hill, them guys are really got. It's a greasy gang of go-getters greedy for the butter. Them hooligans in Herne Hill, I try to earn mills, flip bricks and turn pills. Same colour as Smurf grills. Rude boy, you're on my turf still. The serious out where they stick bricks and burst still. I'm your tour guide, let me take you through Kennerton. One man will have more food in his mouth than 2 pelicans. Listen, they love loot. At a lady well and Lewisham, them fuck shoot and leave your head like a baby Belle. South of the border, birthplace of my baby girl. And maniacs and Mitchell with Max. I bust crazy shells, guys wanna bun jet. I'm with my cousin Nunhead, funny skunks in my eyes come plum red. My niggas in Aubrey and Negroes in Norwood, down to bust like orgies at heroes in your hood. Guns out for Rolex gold, nothing stopping me. I got dogs on Old Kent Road. It's not Monopoly, the game's fuckeries. To play a please, tack a pump or a powerful pistol in Peckham is not Putney. They pop shells in Stockwell, villains with the weapons. There's some soldiers up in Sydenham, gorillas up in Streatham. Your gums better stop beating or your pulse real. Them troops in Tulsa, what have you looking like roadkill? Welcome to Fulton Heath, aka Fulton Greaves. We've got a kid walk with heat. You know what that sort of be. It's kinda sick like a blade in your daughter's cheek. So put your Nikes on the pavements and walk with me. Welcome to the land of the quick and the dead. Put on your Nikes and come walk the strip with the jets. Have you ever seen a grown man pissing his bed with a stick to the head? All for the shit that he said. Welcome to the land of the quick and the dead. Put on your Nikes and come walk the strip with the jets. Have you ever seen a grown man pissing his bed with a stick to the head? All for the shit that he said.
Come on, H to blood clot Z. Let's go, North London version now. Let's go. Big up South. Alright.
Yeah.
Don Desperados. Yeah. Another day, another pain. I'm bullet shower like rain. Nino. Life is a gift, but my life's like a curse. Niggas need to recognize what the life's worth.
Come on,
walking
big
out
up,
their character, looking like the earth. Niggas that I rolled with, niggas from my birth. Niggas in the hearse, right side with the fucks. Fucks bust them slugs for love from above. 3 doves fly by, everybody cry. Rain from the sky, blood puddles in my veins. I smoke the grains, my pain in the drains. I can't obtain my man's that I've lost. One cuts, 2 bloods gone like dust. Shit gets worse, no kids left for birth. No hidden diamonds lying underneath the earth. Head of memories, my thugs in the cemeteries. I wanna live easily, I'm trying to rob a couple G's. I'm trying to duck police, I wanna leave my mum at ease. Stress out on biscuits, show them how the dick fits. Turn around, frisk it, in the match he flicks it. Phone ring, no long, ting money decent. Silver is dirty, nothing long. Like my brethren, I've got a lot of memories. Brother locked down, another brother in the cemetery. Our brother got mad, 2 cousins doing life. Who wants to tell me I'm not up for the fight?
What?
It nearly maddened me, I thought I couldn't handle. From deep inside, I came back and stayed true. I pay my taxes, the government claps it. I pay my bills, it leaves me with jack shit. What is the purpose? This life that is worthless. I know for certain it won't stop hurting. So when I'm sleeping, am I really dreaming? All this bloodshed grief that I'm seeing, all this beef that my brethren's being. So listen up, cause it's not the right timing. Stick to the writing, it's not about the fighting. Not hesitating,
come on, big up Silverback in the building of Silverside.
The government's possessing the needless weapon. You heard me out.
Right?
What?
Look,
listen,
Lord,
why is it like this?
So much evil and it's hard to live righteous. Young and we're black, plus the system
don't like us.
The brown, the crack, we're black on black, man. The streets is really gully, so you better watch your back. I left home at 16 and started moving 16s. Lost in between Tottenham and Woodgreen. I see niggas rob niggas that they roll with. Young niggas roughing like their elders, cause we turn them into soldiers. I'm not a role model, too much weight on my shoulders, too much string in my split. Niggas always wanna take, but they never wanna give. The niggas move like snakes on the ends that I live and I love them Queen's faces, hustle hard to the PM. 97 rude boy, catch me at Coliseum. Afro-Caribbean, London European. 5 out of 10 of my niggas is in the pen. Trapped in the system, hustling with this gang. All I need is a pad and a pen, bottle of hen, and a pack of rolling paper with the ants in the length. And I'm good, right? Skifler, it's like a blood clot animal farm. Rats is snitches, pigs is the police, and the dogs is niggas. Cats is the fiend.
Come on, let's go back. Let's go wheel it. Bring it back. Bring it back. Come on.
Desperados. Yeah. Another day, another pain.
Like 10 years old.
Like Ring, Nino. Life is a gift from my life, like a curse. Niggas need to recognize what the life's worth. Walking at the cracked out, looking at the earth. Niggas that I rode with, niggas from my birth. Niggas in the hearse for inside with the fucks. Fucks bust them slugs for love from above. 3 dogs fly by, everybody cry. Rain from the sky, blood polos in my veins. I smoke the grains, my pain in the drains. I can't obtain my mans that I've lost. 1 cuz 2 bloods gone like dust. Shit gets worse, no kids left for birth. No hidden diamonds lying underneath the earth. Head of memories, my thugs in the cemeteries. I wanna easily, I'm trying to rob a couple G's. I'm trying to dodge police, I wanna leave my mum at ease. Dress her on biscuits, show them how the dick fits. Turn around, frisk it, in the match she flicks it. Phone ring, no long, ting money decent. Still dirty,
nothing long.
Like my brethren, I've got a lot of memories. Brother locked down, another brother in the cemetery. Our brother gone mad, 2 cousins doing life. Who wants to tell me I'm not up for the fight? It nearly maddened me, I thought I couldn't handle. From deep inside, I came back and stayed true. I pay my taxes, the government claps it. I pay my bills, it leaves me with jack shit. What is the purpose, this life that is worthless? I know for certain it won't stop hurting. So when I'm sleeping, am I really dreaming? All this bloodshed grief that I'm seeing, all this beef that my brethren's being. So listen up, cause it's not the right timing. Stick to the writing, it's not about the fighting. No hesitating, there's no half stepping. Sick braids rolling with a big Mac 11. The government's possessing the lethalest weapon. You heard me out. Heard him out, right? Look,
yo,
look, Lord,
why is it like this?
So much evil and it's hard to live righteous. Young and we're black, plus the system don't like us. Around the crap, we're black on black, man. The streets is really gully, so you better watch your back. I left home at 16, started moving 16s. Lost in between Tottenham and Wood Green. I see niggas rob niggas that they roll with. Young niggas robbing up the oldest. We turn them into soldiers. I'm not a role model, too much weight on my shoulders, too much. Niggas always wanna take, but they never wanna give. Niggas move like snakes on the ends that we live. And I love them Queen's faces, hustle hard to the PM. 97 rude boy, catch me at Coliseum. Afro-Caribbean, London European. 5 out of 10 of my niggas is in the pen. Trapped in the system, hustling with this gang. All I need is a pad and a pen, bottle of hen, and a pack of rolling paper with the ants in the length. And I'm good, right? Skifler, it's like a blood clot
animal farm. Rats is snitches,
pigs is the police, and the dogs is niggas. Cats is the fiends that bring niggas to figures. Chickens are the hoes, but still pigeons get jealous.
It's an animal farm.
And no matter what you tell us, the monkeys and nuts in jail for minor fellas. The gorillas are the killers, we click for Rilla. And then you got the eagles, another source of birds. Animal farm, slugs is all you deserve. Snakes is like rats, but they don't chat to police. They chat behind your back and act like everything's sweet. Desperado music make niggas wanna eat, cause it's an animal farm. Robbers in the street, children of the sheep, I could go on all week. Sky, yeah, that nigga, yeah, he think kinda deep. Don Desperados, Wig Splitters Entertainment. Yeah, Jimmy Jewels, that's a banger. Yep, Formula on the board, definitely. Yep. Desperados, learn something. Nino, Desperado, Simmons, yeah, De Niro, no.
Come on.
And myself.
Got Diesel.
On the low though.
Roadworld.com.
Cheese. Alright, 2 of them man there. My brothers. Not like Little D and De Niro. Back in the day, you know. What's it now?
My dog said his food done,
what?
So I told the nigga text that. Break down the 4 pieces, see how much you get that. Throw your hands in the air, if money don't you get that. 753, it's got a hell of a kickback. So I use 2 hands when a nigga grips. That's that shit. Littles go ahead and spit that. That your chick. Her brother already hit that. Yeah, I put my mini-me right where her ribs at. Black coupe, chrome rim, plus it's got a chrome trim. When the sun shines on it, watch it change tone then. Spent the last 2 days trimming down the whole thing. Yeah, niggas zoned in, I'm about to go in. Roads on smash, bring it back to some arty. Quick to charge niggas 3-6 for a whole thing. Bet that met the phone, what's the money rolling? Back is where them haters try hold. Clap, everything the clip be holding. Rap for anyone to be opposed. Whether it's beef or beats, we devour that. Squeeze off, lead shower, nigga, where's your shower cap? Got money and respect, but nigga, where's your power at? Pay a fee to lick you down, and nigga, where's your marrow at? All about peas and I ain't talking about marathon. The lemon has got me moving like a paracat. No loose ball, and everywhere we go, we travel strapped. Try run up on the whip, my goony goons ain't having that. Straight clap time, catch 'em in your back time. 6 feet under the earth, nap time. 9/11, bodies everywhere, that time. You know, Seagull and crap, flatline. Bad mind, hating while I'm trying to stack. And all I'm trying to do is put my borough on the map. Stand there watching dog, cause we about to lap. Like boat the way we running through them tracks. My flow's cracking, I be flying, that's a fact. Them other niggas mad because we running through the yaks. Wardrobe like Bond Street, bare designer tags. Bedroom like Foot Locker, that's what drives them mad. Mad with the self, cause they ain't getting paper. Pull up in something all black, Darth Vader.
Yo, the kush and the Henny's got me waved up. I'm from the hood where you can get blazed up. You got Glocks now with infrared lasers. Love for the fam, but we ride out as strangers. Fucking with the unknown these days is dangerous. I don't wanna flip and do something outrageous. I'd rather make it flip and just count my papers. Grind till my creps lean, shine to the haters. We're gonna keep it real, I'm fed up with the fakeness. I'm rolling with my team and our destination's greatness. I've got a little youth, so I can't be on this baitness. But I'm young, black and ignorant, but not an inch of patience. But I don't wanna see the station or the bin. That's why I do my thing and then I'm gone with the wind. That's why they're always asking where he's gone, where he's been. But I just wanna get in these tracks and go in. I came for the knockout, I came here to win. If I can't do the fizzy, then I let the barrel spin. Cute long nose ting, you can ever sing. And I ain't saying I'm a killer, but I do my thing. Don't fuck with a nigga fam. I ain't saying I'm a killer, but I make it blam. Pissed at the world and I don't give a damn. Never hang your head, stand up tall and be a man. Opportunity, commit a crime without a plan. You never know, I might get lucky, lick a couple grands. If you're from where I'm from, you say fuck the police. Eyes out for the demon with the mark of the beast.
Come on, family. Big up all the family, man. Where you at, man? Where you at, man? Jump on. It's about that time, man. Randy. Randy, you should jump on for this one. You might like this. Oh, advert see. Let's go. Snipers always chattings. Big up, Uncle Baba. Yeah, I saw your thing, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Might have to do that. I'll probably do that if you could put it in the back chat. Side chat, sorry, pause. Get me. Have to be careful with these words out here, man. Yeah. All right, there we go. Man, like put a big in the building. Come on. Let's go. We got my like Hearts Trill. All right, early F.T.K, quick one. You know what I mean?
Black aristocrats and celebrities of 18th century England and France. Popular historic dramas like Bridgerton, Hamilton, and Sanditon sometimes receive criticism that their racially diverse casts are historically inaccurate. But in fact, there have been people of color in Britain and France since the Roman times. By the 18th century, the transatlantic slave trade brought more people of African descent to Europe than ever before. In 1768, there were about 15,000 Black people living in London. Many were brought there as enslaved servants and sailors, but some had the right mixture of talent and luck to rise to the upper echelons of society, becoming celebrities and even aristocrats. Today, we'll meet 7 prominent people of African and mixed heritage who lived in Britain or France in the 18th century. Among them, a king's secret daughter, an icon of both sport and music, 2 authors who spoke out against slavery, and a lady of wealth and refinement who would have fit perfectly into the world of Bridgerton. Here are their stories. Louise Marie-Thérèse was delivered to the Abbey of Moret in 1665 when she was a young child. Where she came from was the biggest mystery of her life. Many at the Palace of Versailles whispered that the mysterious Black Nun of Moret was really the daughter of Queen Maria Theresa, the wife of Louis XIV of France. The king was far more interested in his mistresses than his wife. Check out my videos all about it. Once the queen produced an heir, the king only occasionally visited her bedchamber.
Yeah, this is some of what some of the Israelites are talking about. Yeah, there's a black king, man. King James was black. No, there was black gentry and royalty and all of that, but yeah, they was black, innit? Don't mean all of them was though. You know what I mean? Like they got smidgens in there. That's what kept the longevity, man. You know what I'm saying? Living in these cold European places. Big up. Big up, brother.
Yo, big up, Snipes, man. We saying you good. Bro, you know what? I need your advice on something, you know, cuz. And you know what? It's not related to what you're playing. It's just some personal advice, yeah?
All right.
So listen to this now. My girlfriend is in Ireland. Her grandfather passed away, so she's half Irish on her mother's side. Yeah, she's Seychellian on her dad's side. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So, have you seen what's been going on in Ireland at the moment with the immigration thing? Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, I have. MJ has let us know what's going on.
Let me turn my thing down. Hold on. All right, you can hear me now, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm looking at this fuckery now, and do you know about Rumble? Do you know the site Rumble?
No.
All right, so there's a site called Rumble, which is like YouTube, but you know how YouTube censors everything? Rumble don't censor nothing over there. So people have been posting videos about how certain immigrants are going on over in Ireland. Like it's a mess, bro. Like it's a mad mess. So ultimately, my position here, right, is this immigration thing needs to stop. Like I'm conflicted. Remember, I'm the progeny of immigrants. Yeah. Although my parents were illegal immigrants.
I don't think that the argument is the way that you think it is. I think it's more to do with the recent influx, like people from Ukraine and all of that. Like you just brought these people that because we're attached to the European Union, it's part of our responsibility. But at the same time, we don't want that. And I can understand why they say they don't want that. They don't want this. Why have we got to take them? Yeah, there's bare countries around them that could take them. You know what I mean? And some have. Tell no lie, yeah, but it's because they're part of Europe. We've discussed this already. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's not to do with the immigrants that have come and settled in Ireland. That is fine. You know what I mean? There's no issue there.
All right, so I'm looking at so Ireland's that's their thing. Ireland's in a bit of a worse situation because they're a smaller country. I'm more looking over here. right?
Okay.
Now, I'm not looking at as ethnicity, whether they're Ukrainian, Russian, black,
right.
white. It don't matter to me. I'm looking at purely as like statistics. Yeah, like if you need to go to make an appointment at the doctor's, it's a month wait. The NHS is falling to pieces. I've got family in the NHS. I'm sure you must know people.
What do you mean in England?
Huh?
Yeah. The
in
NHS
England,
in England, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in England. So I'm hearing the schools, like getting a placement for your child in a school is gonna get messy. It's gonna get sticky. The teachers can't. It's just the whole thing when you put together housing, social housing. There ain't enough for us, let alone other people. You understand? So.
Yeah.
And you know why I hate thinking like this, though, Snipes?
The
reason I hate thinking like this is exactly how the far right thing. That's what's making me be so conflicted. You understand? But they actually do have a fucking point when it comes to these things. It's mad.
Well, what are they talking about? Do they have a point when it comes to immigration?
So the far right will jump on the bandwagon and say, yeah, we don't want to come in over there. We don't want them in because we ain't, or they're going to take our jobs. There's no housing. There's no this. There's no that. You know how the far right's there already. You understand?
Yeah.
But in this instance,
they're 100% wrong. Do you get what I'm saying? Because like the policy of the country, like has no issue with immigration. Yeah, it was an idea put out there. It was an idea, a part of Brexit. And before, but yeah, a part of Brexit mainly, you know what I mean? And that's where the racists of the country or the people who don't like foreigners and especially when they don't receive them, they don't live in a big city like London. So in Devon and places like that, they are going to follow the rhetoric and say, yeah, let's vote out of Europe. You understand?
No, but they do have the points where it comes to like housing.
But the country itself, the country itself has a open door policy. Let's be honest. Yeah. So the far right is on the far right because they're complaining about such things, you know what I mean, on that side of things within the parliamentary building. But in reality, they're only trying to get a seat within there. Yeah.
100%. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm conflicted. Because
to get voted into power, to get voted into power to then take orders again. So at no point are your points of view going to be recognized. No way. Just because you're far right? No. Because you're conservative? No. Because you're Labour? No. Because you're Liberal Democrat? No. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you're the Green Party? No. It's not about delegation and and we get a chance to be involved. Decisions are made without us and discussed without us.
No, I hear what you're saying. You're absolutely right. Right. This is what I'm saying. The far right will jump on any bandwagon so long as they can get them into power. You're 100%. The BNP have been trying it for fucking years. All of these far right,
little groups.
But in actual fact, the reason I'm conflicted is because I sound like a fucking far right when I'm saying like, yeah, you know what? You know, with the homeless thing, you know, when they're not advertising on TV. They're not advertising in the newspaper. The homeless fucking thing is gonna go through the roof, rude boy. You don't understand this. It's mad in the sense that people can't afford to pay their mortgages. Homeless,
right? Yeah, but this is at their door. The doors of the major corporation, banks, and the government. So at the end of the day, no matter what we say, the government's doing what it's doing. It's restricting, it's bringing things down, you know, squeezing us, giving us less amenities and all of that, and we're still surviving. Yeah, they do charities, events, and all of this, you know, Pugsley the Bear, and get hundreds of millions out of us, maybe in a recession, a double dip recession. So we still got money. So they still know they can squeeze us. Yeah, because no matter what, it's like, as we know, pressure bust pipes. Yeah. But it can also make a diamond, right? So I know that the government is squeezing us, is thinking certain things are going down. Wages and things are not going up to match it, the rate of inflation and all of that, right? And then we know that events that are happening in other places are affecting us here, or used as an excuse to say why they're being so restringent and, you know, the price of food has gone through the roof and all of this type of stuff. You know what I mean? Because man are warring in Ukraine.
This, right? My Virgin phones me up the other day, right? And he goes to me, can I help him go deliver food to, he works for a charity delivering food to food banks, yeah? So he goes, listen, can I give him a hand? I goes, no problem, man. Pick me up. We go drop the food, no problem. So he picks me up, we go down there. Rude boy, the queue is around the block for a food bank, rude boy. And they're all fighting in the food bank. Like, you know, like trying to fight for food.
Right. You need discipline.
This is mad.
This
is the beginning. Anyway, Snatch, pick up my brother. I need to jump. I need to go to work, man. Big up, yeah?
Man. Big up. Love, though. You know what I mean? Boy. Big up, Buddha big man. Big up Miss Sarah. Get me? Marley D in the building. You get what I'm saying? Ghost Wolf and that. Battle of the Soul. What? Battle of the Soul. Big up yourself. All right. Let's get back to it.
To her own devices, the queen surrounded herself with friends and confidants, including, as was fashionable at the time, an African servant with dwarfism named Nabu. In 1664, Maria Theresa gave birth to her third child, a baby girl who was tragically stillborn. An eyewitness noted the infant appeared a little dark. This is not unusual for babies who have been deprived of oxygen in the womb. But for years after, the word at Versailles was that the princess had not died, but had been secreted away because she was black. Scientifically naive gossip mongers noted the queen's love of hot chocolate and theorized that this was why she had given birth to a dark-skinned child. But the
racism! Racism. You heard that, yeah? Mad thing. Oh, wow, man. Yes. The gentry himself. Big up. Big up, Randy.
Big up, Sniper. Well done for getting up and starting the stream, putting the work in, doing the education. Let's do it.
Early. Interesting, isn't it?
But yeah, it's like we've got to research and look through history, because otherwise we're just looking at white history, isn't it?
Well, white history's not that white. It's got to be a blend and mix, because the idea of racism and all of that is kind of new, relatively new.
Yeah, I mean, you only have to look back. You know, I've been researching this a little bit, but it's like if you look when the first black people were in England, there's a big history of it, and it's not
way back.
Yeah, and you have to dig and research and stuff like this. But like, you know, there's a big history going back hundreds of years, not just 100 years, hundreds of years.
And the media spin of those days were paintings.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we had.
Yeah, the media, the kind of, they would just paste them up all pasty and that.
Yeah.
Well, most of them had makeup on anyway, so like.
Yeah, there was all that sort of white, sort of fucking stupid makeup and the wigs and the all this nonsense.
All of that.
Yeah.
The
Anyway,
prevailing assumption was that the queen had an affair with her attendant Nabu. It was expected for a king to commit adultery, but for a queen it was unthinkable. It has since been alleged that Nabu was banished from the palace, or even that he was imprisoned and was the mysterious man in the iron mask. But in fact, he continued to work at Louis's court long after the queen's death in 1683. Once Maria Theresa died, rumors about her long-lost child really flared up. Many courtiers went to visit the mysterious black nun of Moray to see if they could identify the queen's traits in her and solve the enigma. Louise had been delivered to the Moray monastery by a trusted royal advisor shortly after the queen's tragic delivery in 1664. The only problem was that she had been a child of about 5, not a newborn baby. Historians now think it more likely that the nun was actually King Louis's illegitimate daughter, with an unknown woman of African descent. There are several clues to this.
Is that what we're doing? Yeah, is that what we're doing? Yeah, Louis. So it was all right for Louis to do what he's doing, but if the wifey did it, boy, scandal. You know what I mean? Good thing she did, and that's how they're treating her. That's mad.
We'll teach it through this lens and just we'll just tuck that away somewhere so nobody knows.
But it's like royal gossip, isn't it? You know
is.
what I mean? Amongst the private, but amongst the upper class.
And when you look at the records, they'll be missing, and then you have to find it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to find this history. I mean, that's one of the issues.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, mate. Because all these kings had harems and that. They're trying to relive their ancestors, supposedly. You know what I mean? King Solomon and all of that. So
this theory. 1, she was named Louise after Louis, and the king would never have allowed the child of his wife's lover to be named after him. 2, she was granted a generous allowance of £300 a year from the king's treasury. 3, court artist Pierre Goubert was sent to make a portrait of her titled The Religious Black Princess, which was included with other now missing documents.
Whoa.
At least we did a painting, so we've got
Whoa, that's bait. All of it's bait, man. It sounded like Louis' daughter still. You know what I'm saying? He wanted
at least we've got a record. We've got an image.
He wanted that Moorish pumtang. Yeah, that Moorish pumtang will make it Moorish. You get me? Yeah. You get me? He had to make sure she was catered for, wages, all of that. No one's touching my beautiful daughter. What are you talking about?
But
You know
I'll keep her tucked away and
exactly. Special stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Documents in a folio titled The Moorish Daughter of Louis XIV.
Oh my God, you can't get more beta than that, can you?
Louis XIV, you know. I mean, that's going back hundreds of years. It's not recent.
No, it's not recent.
Louis XIV.
Yeah.
If you know your friend's history, you know.
Yeah. You know what I mean? The man in the Iron Mask, you know. That was that time, you know. Musketeers and that.
I mean, you've got to realise this was French Empire and stuff these days. You've got the French Empire in Africa, and he's smuggled her in somehow, whatever the story is. I don't know what the story is.
No, well, the Moors populated Europe as well. They built loads of castles and things, and they had royals. They had royal descendants anyway, so it would be fine for royals to mix with royals, right? And royals across the planet would be of all colors, so it just makes sense, right?
Yeah, but it's not. But when you've been taught history or you read about history, where is this stuff?
Yeah, people be telling you about slavery and that. It's like, huh? What are you talking about? Yeah, we know when slavery was. We know it's that 16th century business, right? But prior to that, there was man there. There was the Saint Maurice and the Black Knight and all of that. The Black Knight was black. Like, what are we doing?
You see, this is the stuff I haven't found out about yet. You start digging and you start going down, you know, a wormhole. I mean, it literally is. Hang on, what's going on here? What's this? And then you start looking up stuff, and there's more and more to learn that isn't taught or isn't in mainstream history.
Right. True.
4 courtiers who met Louise, including Voltaire, remarked on her strong resemblance to the king, not the queen. Louise herself was sure of her royal parentage. When the Dauphin came to meet her, she greeted him as my brother. Madame de Maintenon, King Louis's secret second wife, visited her often and attended the ceremony during which she took her holy vow.
It's not me. It's not. Is it me? I don't know what's going on.
What the hell?
Yeah, nothing.
Who's that woman? I mean,
that's the Queen's mother. Yeah.
I apologize to white race.
Louise told Maintenon the trouble which a lady of your station takes to purposely come here and tell me that I am not the daughter of a king persuades me that I am. Louise was no fool. She lived out her life at the convent and died at the age of 68. The mysterious black nun inspired the opening of a less than subtle chocolate factory in the town of Moray.
Fucking racism.
Yeah. You see,
we found Sprizzy through a Google.
That's all you get, man. Chocolate factory.
Yeah, no, but the thing you've got to realise, to live to 68 in those days,
it was a long time still.
It's a big age.
Yeah, it was a long time. People signed up.
Life of Riley.
20, 30 and that.
Yeah.
30, 35.
Was born aboard a slave ship crossing.
Well, I don't know about that.
the Atlantic. His mother died shortly after they arrived in the Spanish colony of New Granada, modern-day Colombia. His father took his own life rather than live enslaved. When Ignatius was 2, his owner took him to Greenwich, England, and gave him to 3 unmarried sisters. They treated him like a pet and named him Sancho after the character in Don Quixote. He was their servant until the age of 20. John, Duke of Montague, was a frequent guest of the sisters, and he was impressed with Ignatius's intellect, frankness, and amiability. He taught Ignatius to read and lent him books from his own library. Education enlightened him to the injustice of slavery, and he ran away to Montague House. There he worked as a butler to Lady Montague and immersed himself in music, poetry, reading, and writing. Ignatius composed at least 62 pieces of music, wrote 2 plays, and published a book on music theory. Artist Alan Ramsay's Portrait of an African is believed to have been painted of Ignatius during this period. Lady Montague died and left Ignatius a generous inheritance. In 1758, he married Anne Osborne, a West Indian woman. He was devoted to her.
Hang on. Take it back a second. West Indian woman.
Yeah, look how West Indian woman looked back in the day.
The previous photo wasn't. I can maybe take that one, but the previous photo, she looked white.
Yeah, it's a man of my own taste. Nah.
Well, did you see that? Did you see the subtle racism there? It was like they were impressed by his intellect.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially if you ain't taught him to read.
Why are they impressed by his intellect?
Because more time servants don't usually chat; they just serve. You know what I mean, this one's probably you could have a conversation with.
But he's writing music.
No, he learns that after. You know
He
learns all these skills.
It was just the fact they were impressed by his intellect.
Yeah, man.
You know, yeah, exactly.
Most people are. Yeah. Thank melanin. It's a wonderful drug.
And their 7 children. He took a job as a valet to George Montague, the son-in-law and heir of his previous patron. Artist Thomas Gainsborough painted a portrait of Ignatius at the same time the Duchess sat for a portrait. Ignatius became well known as a man of accomplishment and refinement. He was an outspoken abolitionist. His moving correspondence with novelist Lawrence Sterne became an integral part of 18th century anti-slavery literature and brought him notoriety. At 45, he bought a house and grocery store in the upmarket London neighborhood of Mayfair. His shop sold tobacco, sugar, and tea, goods which were produced by enslaved people in the West Indies. As a landowner, Ignatius had the right to vote at Westminster and was the first known person of African descent to cast a ballot in a British general election. He was a tall...
Mud.
Is there a blue plaque in Mayfair of this man?
Probably.
I might research that actually because I'd be interested to know. I mean, it did say Commonwealth and Foreign Office.
Mayfair, you know. Mayfair no joke.
Yeah, exactly. Mayfair.
Mayfair no joke, huh? You live in Mayfair, like what the hell? You know, you can't even sneeze in Mayfair nowadays.
It's got a house, it's got property and a shop.
Yeah.
For his inheritance.
No, that's what he made, I suppose. But he's got his inheritance as well, yeah. Landowner and that mad thing.
Big man and was noted for his warmth and charm. He was friends with many great thinkers, artists, and politicians of the day, including James Fox, who oversaw a bill in 1806 to prohibit British subjects from participating in the slave trade. Ignatius died of gout at the age of 50 and was the first person of African descent to have an obituary published in British newspapers. Actor Patterson Joseph has written a play.
Fantastic. So at least he got recognised in British newspaper, the first African descent person to have an obituary in the newspapers. And this was, I can't remember the year, it was 18 something, yeah? So that just says everything, doesn't it? It says there were African descent people in England. It took until 1800 and something before somebody received national press.
Right. Let's go.
Play and novel about Ignatius Sancho's life. Joseph Bologna, Chevalier de Saint-Georges, was born in 1745 on the Caribbean island of Guadeloupe. His father was a French plantation owner who raped his wife's 16-year-old enslaved maid. Joseph's mother, Nanon, was of Senegalese origin. When Joseph was 7, his father took him to France. Back in 1315, King Louis X decreed that any enslaved person setting foot on French soil was free. Of course, this did not apply to France's overseas colonies, where slavery built many fortunes back in the motherland. Now free, Joseph enrolled in boarding school. 2 years later, his father returned to France with Nanon, who was reunited with her son. At 13, Joseph was enrolled in fencing school. He was immensely talented and defeated far more experienced fighters. He was entered into a highly publicized duel against the famed fencing master of Rouen. Supporters of slavery bet heavily on the master, while abolitionists bet on Joseph. Joseph won the match. His prowess earned him a place as a personal bodyguard to King Louis XV and the title Chevalier, the French equivalent of a knight. His father died.
This is sounding like musketeer business.
It
It's like musketeer business, where the musketeer concept came from.
And Sniper, what colour is this man?
What? He's a black man.
He's a black man, yeah?
Are you just might be just fair
like whitening everything up.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of whitening going on here, isn't there?
I know. It's France, isn't it? They're still racist till today. Crazy.
Yeah,
died and left he and his mother comfortably provided for. Next, he became famous for a second talent, music. He was a gifted violinist. His solos enraptured especially the feminine members of the audience. He composed numerous string quartets, sonatas, and symphonies, as well as plays and ballets. Beethoven held him in high regard. He became conductor of the Concert Olympique. Queen Marie Antoinette was a fan and would often sneak into performances unannounced. Joseph was the 18th century equivalent of a rock star. He was a hero to young sportsmen and musicians, and attended balls and salons with a fashionable set. He loved and was loved by many ladies, but his mixed heritage meant that he could not marry a woman of his own rank.
Mad.
So why not? Why could he not marry a woman of his own rank? Why has that not been explained?
I don't know. Well, you might explain it right now.
All right,
the love of his life was Marie Josephine du Montalembert, who was married to a much older general. Marie Josephine gave birth to Joseph's child, but her husband took her and the baby away, and the child died. Joseph mourned deeply the loss of his love and the son he never met. It was likely the general who sent a band of 6 men to attack him in the night while he was leaving a party. They beat the Chevalier and a friend with sticks, but they were able to fend off the assailants. Joseph rejected the advances of famed dancer Marie-Madeleine Guimard, but she sought revenge when he was proposed as the new director of the Paris Opera. Marie-Madeleine and 2 of her fellow divas petitioned the queen, writing that their honor could never allow them to submit to the orders of a mulatto. His operatic ambitions came crashing down. The Chevalier instead took...
It's not who you are, it's who you know, yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah. They pulled rank on him, boy. Yeah, they went to the queen, like, listen, can't have this mulatto guy, this mixed race guy, nah, you just taking the piss. Who's he think he is, Michael Jordan? Even though Michael Jordan don't exist yet.
Yeah, exactly. But at least we've got paintings of him, so we can start tracing back and filling in the blanks.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I know it's not good, but at least we've got some evidence.
What?
position as the director of the Duc d'Orléans' private theater. There he lodged and worked with a young Mozart. At 45, Joseph wholeheartedly embraced the French Revolution, which advertised equal rights to all. Revolutionary leaders sent him to London, where he performed fencing exhibitions for King George III and the Prince of Wales. He fought a match with the famed Chevalier de Saint-Georges, whom you can learn more about in my Transgender Nobles video. But Joseph also had a secret mission.
What?
To consolidate.
No, hold on, wait. Is man fencing against transgender? And what is transgender doing back there? Like, what? What are we doing here? Nah, this is crazy, man. Fuck France and England.
Abolitionist support in London. While walking to his lodgings, he was attacked by assassins on a mission to stop his anti-slavery activities. But the famed fencer fought them off. Joseph returned to France with a bad taste for politics. He decided to fight for his ideals directly and signed up with the Revolutionary Army. He was appointed colonel of the first all-black regiment in Europe, which became known as the Légion Saint-Georges. But Joseph was caught up in the infighting among revolutionary leaders. He was stripped of command and imprisoned for 18 months. His loyal men called for his release, but he was not allowed to return to the army. Despondent, he traveled to the Caribbean island of Saint-Domingue to fight in support of the enslaved people in what became known as the Haitian Revolution. After 2 years there, the Chevalier returned to Paris. He died of gangrene at the age of 53 in 1799. He did not live to see the full abolition of slavery in French colonies in 1848. Joseph Bologna is the subject of the 2023 film Chevalier. Olaudah Equiano was born in the Kingdom of Benin in modern-day Nigeria around 1745. He recalled...
Probably my cousin.
So where's
probably my cousin. Huh?
Where's Benin?
That's the Kingdom of Benin, man. That's where I'm from.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. But where is it? Where are we talking about?
In southern Nigeria, in the
is it?
in the Delta.
Right. No. So it's your brother here, isn't it?
Hmm? Yeah, it could be family, man. It could be family, straight up. Since we were the most kidnapped, but it's
called in his memoir that his father was a village chief who sold prisoners of war and criminals to European colonists. When he was 11, he and his sister were left home alone. They were kidnapped, separated, and sold to slave traders. He tried to escape but was thwarted. He was marched to the coast and put aboard a ship bound for Barbados, then on to the colony of Virginia. There he was purchased by a lieutenant in the Royal Navy and renamed Gustav Vasa after the 16th century king of Sweden. Olaudah refused the new name and was beaten until he accepted it. The lieutenant took him to Europe to act as his valet while he fought in the 7 Years' War with France. During several battles, young Olaudah hauled gunpowder to the gun decks. The lieutenant sent him to England to attend school, but when he was 18, the lieutenant sold him again and he was taken back to the Caribbean. Because he was literate, Olaudah worked as a secretary and assistant to the merchant who owned him on his trade routes up and down the East Coast. The merchant was a Quaker and allowed him to read the Bible and engage in profitable trading of his own. He promised that for his purchase price, £40, about $10,000 today, he could purchase his freedom. He did so at the age of 21. The merchant encouraged him to stay on as a business partner, but after he was nearly kidnapped and sold back into slavery in Georgia, he decided America was too dangerous. He journeyed to England and continued to work aboard ships. He served as a deckhand on an expedition to the North Pole. Next, he moved to Central America and managed enslaved people on a sugar plantation. He returned to England at the age of 37, married Susanna Cullen, and they had 2 daughters. He gave lectures about his experiences of slavery and influenced people and politicians to fight for its end. All this time, he had been using the name Gustav Vasa, but in 1789, he published his autobiography, The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Olaudah Equiano, the African. The memoir was a bestseller in the UK, Russia, Germany, Holland, and the United States. It was one of the first widely read books written by a person of African descent. It fueled the growing anti-slavery movement and was a financial success, making Olaudah a wealthy man. He was a community leader among the Black citizens of London and worked to improve.
Bro, how's he looking like Veli and that? That's crazy. What in the Veliano is going on?
So on that last point, he was saying he managed enslaved people in Africa somewhere, yeah?
No, in Americas, right?
Before he moved back to England and wrote his autobiography.
Yeah, in the Caribbean somewhere.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it was a bestseller. But I mean, I assume you've heard of this person before, but first time I'm hearing of it.
Yeah. It's
So
definitely we learned that in school about Equiano.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Normal.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, man, Equiano was a top guy. But he looks like Veli in this busk. Telling you that.
Move opportunities for them. During the American War for Independence, the British Army recruited enslaved people by offering them freedom, passage to London, and pensions. When the war was lost, the Redcoats came through with the freedom and passage, but not the pensions. Thousands were stranded in London, unable to find work, and with no social safety net. And the government was eager to get rid of them. A scheme was hatched to ship them to a newly established colony on the west coast of Africa, Sierra Leone. Olaudah was recruited to manage supplies for the expedition, but he realized that the colony's climate was dangerous, and he spoke against the plan. He was dragged in the paper as a whistleblower. But he had been right, and the expedition turned tragic. Of the 400 colonists sent to live there, only 60 were alive 5 years later. Olaudah's wife, Susanna, died at 34. Olaudah himself died a year later in 1797.
Yeah, he's got a plaque.
He got a plaque. That's good. That's
like
good.
that means anything, though. I don't know what that means.
No. But at least we've got some
evidence,
mainstream publicity. It's not
every Equiano story is definitely like well known of all the people that have been mentioned.
That's interesting. I want to read about this now.
Age 52. His obituary was published in newspapers on both sides of the Atlantic. Dido Elizabeth Belle was born in 1761 in the British West Indies. Her mother, Maria Belle, was an enslaved African woman. Her father was naval officer Sir John Lindsay, a member of Clan Lindsay and a prominent British aristocratic family. When John returned to England, he took 4-year-old Dido with him. He left her with his uncle, William Murray, Earl of Mansfield, and his wife Elizabeth. The Murrays, who had no children of their own, raised Dido and her orphan cousin, Lady Elizabeth, at their palatial manor, Kinwood House, outside of London. The cousins were educated together. A remarkable double portrait of them hints at their close bond. Dido was treated like the rest of the family, given a fine bedroom and fashionable clothes. Guests at the manor noted 10-year-old Dido's excellent recitation of poetry. Once, when Americans came for dinner, she did not dine with the guests, but appeared later to take coffee with the ladies. It is not clear if this was so as not to offend the guests, or so that they would not have the opportunity to be rude to Dido. In her late teens, Dido took over management of the estate's dairy and poultry yards, a typical occupation for noble ladies. She also acted as a secretary to Lord Mansfield, a job which would have usually been done by a man. Lord Mansfield was Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales. In 1772, he ruled in a landmark case of an enslaved man named John Somerset, whose owner wanted to send him back to the West Indies for sale. Lord Mansfield ruled in Somerset's favor, thus setting him free. Surely his experience in raising Dido had some influence on his decision. His judgment was taken by abolitionists to mean slavery was abolished in England, though it was not actually abolished throughout the British Empire until 1833. Even then, former slave owners were compensated by British taxpayers for the loss of their human property.
Mad.
When Dido was 27, her father, who had since become an admiral, died and bequeathed her £500. 5 years later, Lord Mansfield died. In his will, he unequivocally confirmed Dido's freedom and bequeathed her another £500 plus a £100 annuity. Now a woman of independent means, Dido married Frenchman Jean d'Avenir. The couple bought a house in London and had 3 sons. Dido died at the age of 43 of an unknown cause. She is the subject of the 2013 film, Belle.
That was interesting, you know, because so next time I'm up Kenwood House, I'm going to be looking for Dido, see if the Dido's mentioned in that museum there.
Probably. Big picture was probably where the painting came from. And that.
But that I might watch
in
that
1781.
You might watch that, did you say?
Yeah, I might watch that, see what Hollywood's done with it.
Yeah, innit?
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, oh yeah, we've got a film, but let me see what's going on there.
Yeah, and this film's probably been a while, you know, just didn't make it. Went straight to what do you call it, Netflix and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also I'm not liking the picture already. It's like it's looking a bit sort of touched up and sort of yeah, she was cool and whatever. But it's the real story there.
Come on. Yeah, this is looking like you and Goddess, mad. Back in the day. Yeah, you look dress up, do 16th century stuff and that. You know what I mean?
There's no 16th century stuff.
Randy. Randy, you chat too much. Oh, Randy, you chat too much.
But that would be the most historical reference in that area.
Oh, yeah. She wearing it or you wearing it?
No, she wearing it.
All right, cool.
Jean Amilcar was born in 1781 in Senegal on the west coast of Africa, at the time a French colony. He was enslaved and at the age of 6 was taken to France and presented to Queen Marie Antoinette as a gift. The queen had recently lost her youngest child, Sophie, at just 11 months. To ease her heartache, she had taken to adopting orphan children. She took in 7, including Jean. Now that he was on French soil, he was free, and the queen had him baptized. He and 3 of her other adopted children did not live at the palace with the queen's biological children. Instead, she paid for them to attend boarding school. Jean remained there for 5 years. When the French Revolution broke out, the queen kept up tuition payments for as long as she could. But eventually, revolutionaries arrested the royal family and stopped the funds. And 11-year-old Jean was expelled. One of his teachers took him in and continued his education. Jean had a talent for drawing and at 15 was accepted to the Lyoncourt Academy in Paris with a scholarship. But he died of illness in a hospital in Paris later that same year. Thomas Alexandre Dumas was born in 1762 on the French colonial island of Saint-Domingue, modern-day Haiti. His father, Alexandre Anton, was the eldest son of the Marquis de la Paterie. He arrived in the Caribbean as part of the French army. He soon left his post to work on plantations. There he purchased an enslaved woman named Marie Cassette Dumont and forced her into a sexual relationship. She gave birth to Thomas Alexandre and 2 or 3 daughters. After Anton's parents died, he returned to France to claim the family title and chateau. He took his son with him, but sold his daughters and their mother. In order to get his son off the island.
What the hell? How you gonna sell the mom and the daughters? What's going on with these British?
Well, no, because the sons are more valuable for.
Talk to your ancestors, man. Talk to your ancestors, Randy, man.
Yeah,
what are they doing?
Yeah, I don't. Well, I sort of reluctant to go on Ancestry.com because I might be finding some nonsense in there. It's bad enough with the Raj.
You might find out you're related to Goddess. No.
It's not as stupid as you think, actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like that guy is keeping the son and selling the daughters because they will not continue the lineage, and that's why the women are seen as, I suppose, of lesser value.
But they will. You just won't know about it. You just won't know about it. It's like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, but a lot of
this of your hold on, but it's bearer of your lineage running around the planet.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't know where. My surname is
because it's the woman who's going to have kids, right? A son can be gay. You know what I mean? Even back then. So and not you know what I mean?
Yeah, I should get on Ancestry and do the things. I might not reveal what I find.
But these men are grapists and all sorts. So that one.
Yeah, I mean, he bought her originally.
Anton had to sell.
Yeah.
They bought her
him to a captain and then buy him back when they arrived in France. Thomas Alexandre attended an aristocratic school in Paris. He learned fencing from the Chevalier de Saint-Georges. His father was flush after the sale of their ancestral home, and Thomas Alexandre lived the life of a gentleman of leisure. Even though he was his father's eldest son, because he was illegitimate and mixed race, he did not stand to inherit the family title. When his father remarried, his allowance was cut, and he joined the army. Most young men of noble birth were commissioned as officers, but Thomas Alexandre's mixed race made this impossible. He instead enlisted as a private. His father, appalled that the noble name of de la Patrie would be dragged through the lowest ranks of the army, insisted his son use his mother's name, Dumas, meaning of the farm. Anton died before he saw the decorated hero his son would become, and the fame brought the name Dumas. Unaided by nepotism, Thomas Alexandre climbed the ranks through sheer talent. He served under the Marquis de Lafayette during revolutionary riots in Paris. At 31, he was the first person of color to be promoted to brigadier general in the French army. His victories in battle opened up the Alpine Pass so Napoleon could take over Italy. Austrian soldiers nicknamed him Schwarzer Teufel, or the Black Devil. The French called him Horatius, after the hero who saved ancient Rome. Thomas Alexandre married Marie-Louise Labouré and bought a 30-acre farm for them to raise their 3 children. Next, he was appointed a commander of the cavalry in Napoleon's conquest of Egypt. Conditions were poor on the hot desert march to Cairo, and many soldiers died. General Dumas complained that the men were growing mutinous, but Napoleon ignored him and ordered him back to France. When he reached the coast, he found that British Admiral Horatio Nelson had destroyed the French Armada. He was forced to take a small merchant ship back to Europe. The vessel began to sink off the coast of Naples, Italy, and had to make an emergency landing. Dumas expected a friendly reception, but discovered the government Napoleon had just founded there had been overthrown. Dumas was tossed in a dungeon by the new king of Naples. His wife petitioned Napoleon to rescue.
Hold on, wasn't Alexander Dumas the one who wrote the Musketeers stories?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they say it was a black man. Yeah, and I remember the name, Alexander Dumas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as the guy who, being black and then writing about the Musketeer story, he's the one.
But do you see that? Do you see the sort of racism there? He couldn't be noble, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you can't be noble because you're mixed race." And it's like, and so they're trying to make him change his name.
He was shunned upon because of the circumstances of some of them. You know what I mean? Coming, yeah, it's a big shame because not because of the mix, but because of how it came to be. You know what I mean? In a royal sense, it can't be that bad. You know what I mean? It has to be like it is what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I mean,
to him, but was ignored.
Pause again. I mean, it's a great video, but we're rattling through them, and each one of them deserves a video on their own, really. And let's look a bit deeper.
Really, definitely. Well, I leave that to the individuals, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, people jump on, man. Family jump on, man. I need you guys, man. I need to pop out for a little bit. Do what I did last week, man. For a couple
Come on,
hours,
start
you know what I mean?
the chat. I'm just holding Sniper's hand and doing some banter.
Pause on the holding hand thing, but yeah.
Ignored. He languished in prison for 2 years until the French retook Naples and he was set free. Malnutrition and possibly poisoning had ruined his physique. He was blind in one eye and deaf in one ear. He was denied the military pension due to him, and his family fell into poverty. Thomas Alexandre died of stomach cancer 5 years later. His son, Alexandre Dumas, used his intellect and talent to rise back out of poverty and became one of France's most illustrious writers.
Okay,
Some of his most famous novels, The Count of...
This is the son.
How is it?
It's the son that, I've heard of. Who wrote, obviously, The Count of Monte Cristo and the Musketeer story.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Obviously.
What do you think?
Where have I heard that name before? But he's got the exact same name as his father, so it makes sense, right?
What about that hairstyle before? What were you saying about that?
What? Receding?
Go back 3 or 4 seconds.
What about hairstyle?
Yeah, there you go.
No.
What was it?
Afro, man. It's got afro, man. That curly afro and that. You know what I mean? Yeah, the Auburn brothers do. You know what I mean? But if this picture was in color, then we'd probably see a better perspective.
Okay. We need to color that up.
Well, you can see he's got some color, but it's not really shown because they use flashlight and all of that.
Oh yeah, that's it, isn't it? Because they used to have that flashlight that was an explosion in those days.
Yeah. Boom. Like, wow.
Bleached out the people.
Yeah, watch the birdie in that.
Yeah.
Illustrious writers. Some of his most famous novels, The Count of Monte Cristo, The Three Musketeers, and The Man in the Iron Mask, were partially inspired by his father.
See, I told you. You know what I'm
saying? You did.
Yeah, I told you.
The Man in the Iron
The Man in the Iron Mask, yeah, which is Louis. You know what I'm saying? Is it Louis the 14th or whatever? Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
France.
Father's life. Want even more tea on history? Check out the History Tea Time podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.
That was great stuff.
No, that was a great video, actually. It would be worth watching again, or I'd be wanting to research on some of those people.
Oh, man. Yeah. So jump on, family. Where do all the family at, man? Some of them.
It's too early for them. They haven't woken up yet.
It's that time of day.
My neighbour was having a party till 2 a.m. last night. I just went to the dungeon early and was listening to the stream last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, 20 or 30 people around and big celebration. So I just snuck down to the dungeon and I was happy.
Yeah.
I mean, people have parties. I mean, what can you do? Where's Mary Jane? Mary Jane, cool, we've got Irish slaves. Let's go.
Come on, let's go quickly. Ain't got much time. Yeah, I'll go about 15 minutes before I have to leave. No. So if no one jumps on, boy, I might have to shut it down, man. Come back later
I'm not going to chat to myself today. I've got shit to do.
Chat to myself.
Yeah, and I don't want to chat too much, obviously.
Chat too much.
Chat too much.
Chat too much. I got bare video today. Loads of videos. Yeah, where's the family at, man? Where we at? Keep it running, man. Keep it going, man. All right, this one's for MJ.
Text MJ, see if she can cover for how long ever you're doing that for.
Let's see.
There has been an ongoing debate as to whether the Irish were the first slaves in the Americas, predating the first black African slaves by almost a decade. Slavery is perhaps one of the oldest profit-making endeavors in human history, and the Irish were a special target for 1,000 years.
Throughout history, the Irish were persecuted by one faction or another, to include enslavement and indentured servitude. When did the Irish first become slaves? How long did the selling of the Irish continue? Who was responsible?
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, former soldier, Marine Corps scout sniper, history professor, historian, and book author, and we will answer these questions and other.
He's a sniper too, yeah. Come on.
Is that my ginger brother?
Let's go, man. Let's go. Yeah.
He's redhead, isn't it? Go back. Let me see him again.
Nah. Why are we looking at man?
Some groups deny the Irish slavery under English and later British rule, claiming that this was nothing more than voluntary indentured servitude, which did exist. However, there are counter-arguments that will be challenged here. There is a legitimate dispute as to the numbers enslaved, especially during the 17th century before the Act of Union in 1707. The official British legal terminology used was indentured servants. Whether the servants in question had willingly signed the indenture contract to immigrate to the Americas or were forced to go. Many were forced. Therefore, those transported unwillingly and effectively sold were not considered to be indentured. This included political prisoners, vagrants, convicts, political activists, thieves, prostitutes, or people who had been defined as undesirable by the English government. The Irish introduction to slavery was during the first Viking raids in the year 795, lasting through the mid-9th century. This period saw the Irish killed and enslaved. Just like many other societies, the Vikings attacked. Most of these early raids were along the northern and eastern coast using hit-and-run tactics. The Vikings would then flee with treasure and slaves and return to either their holdings in Scotland or back to Norway. Usually, many slaves who were of value were ransomed back to their families, but others remained in captivity. Then, from the year 837 onward, larger targets such as the greater monastic towns of Armagh, Glendalough, Kildare, Slane, Clonard, and Clonmacnoise, and Lismore were hit by larger forces. These large-scale raids generally spared the smaller local churches and villages far inland, but slaves were still taken, mostly to Scotland and Iceland. In 875, Irish slaves in Iceland launched Europe's largest slave rebellion since the end of the Roman Empire, when Hrólfr Hallmarson's slaves killed him and fled to Vestmannaeyjar. In 841, the port that became known as Dublin was taken and occupied by both Olaf and Ivar the Boneless. And by 853, this part of Ireland was a Norse trading center, and slaves were a large part of it. The slave trade did not stop with Ivar's death in 873. Finally, in 902, driven out of Dublin by the combined forces of Brega and Leinster, but the Vikings came back in 914 and reclaimed all the territory, taking more slaves. But Irish resistance was not over. In 980, the Irish, under Mael Sectional Mac Domhnall, king of Meath, fought and managed to defeat the Vikings and freed all of their slaves. Some Vikings who remained assimilated and adapted to Christianity and became part of Irish society. The final nail in the coffin regarding Vikings holding land and taking slaves was in 1014 at the Battle of Clontarf, when Brian Boru, High King of Ireland, attacked Dublin, aided by his allies, the Limerick Vikings. They fought other Irish allied to the local Vikings in Dublin, and Boru's force won, and all the slaves were again freed, thus ending the legacy of constant Norse raids, whether from Danes or Norwegians. The period forced enslavement and severity ended, a century after the Norman invasion of England in October 1066. Subsequent Norman rulers of England eyed Ireland, and slavery in its true form was abolished in 1102. In 1155, Pope Adrian IV supposedly gave Henry II of England a papal bull, granting the king the authority to invade Ireland. However, many historians believe that this authorization was a forgery. Regardless...
Pause. What? So the Pope's giving Henry permission to invade Ireland? What the hell's going on here?
You said this before, that definitely England had a large influence in Irish society towards the modern time. I mean, because they had lords and all of those over there. You know what I mean? When they done the Magna Carta, they did one for Ireland.
Yeah, but why is the Pope signing it off? I don't. Why is
the Pope's the authority, man? He's the authority, man. And these men, remember that most of these British and thing are Roman Catholics, right? Until Henry VIII, where it all changes. That's
when they brought in Anglicism, the Church of England. They said, I want to get divorced.
Yeah, that hasn't happened yet.
Ah, okay. So this is before. See, my history is terrible. I didn't do a history at school.
Yeah, because probably scary, mate. Probably funny at first. Like, oh my God, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, but Pope's sort of signing off what we're doing. You know.
Henry II of England faced excommunication for the murder of Thomas à Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury, so it is possible. However, Adrian's successor, Pope Alexander III, granted the lands of Ireland to Henry II, although it was not his land to give. The Norman conquest of England and Ireland were cataclysmic events that would shape Ireland's as well as world history and create tensions with England for the next 800 years. The Normans were initially invited to Ireland by Dermot MacMurrough, the deposed king of Leinster. He is sometimes referred to as Dermot of the Foreigners, and his grandmother was the granddaughter of Brian Boru. In October 1171, King Henry II landed in Ireland and allowed Dermot to recruit soldiers and mercenaries, as Ireland was made up of several kingdoms at war with each other. The city of Dublin and the surrounding area were under Norman occupation and would be called the Pale, or the safe zone. Going beyond that was considered foolish, hence the term we use today, going beyond the pale. But the Normans ended the practice of slavery in Ireland, but not serfdom, for at least a few hundred years. Despite the Norman abolishment of slavery, serfdom was still alive and well. Serfs were, unlike slaves, bound to the land, and the land meant everything. So selling people into slavery would have left no one to farm and conduct agriculture. Following the Battle of Kinsale in 1601, when the Irish and Spanish alliance was defeated, the Irish aristocracy fled to Europe, but the commoners remained, and they left a power vacuum filled by English nobles. Reports vary, and the numbers are in dispute, but the high number is that English forces had 30,000 captured Irish and Spanish soldiers. Other sources say half that number, around 15,000, were engaged, with 7,000 to 8,000 being captured. The Spanish allies were allowed to leave, but not the Irish. In 1603 or 1604, King James I of England, crowned on March 23, 1603, reportedly issued the order of banishment. This allowed those Irish captured to be sold, a permanent banishment. After nearly a decade, the king gave permission for the English Governor-General to collect and sell the captured Irish soldiers as slaves and send them to the New World in the Americas. In 1612, the first recorded Irish slaves were sold, possibly to the Portuguese, and taken to the Amazon River Basin, in their colony in modern-day Brazil. This brought them to the New World. There has been some dispute as to whether these people were indentured servants or slaves, but it is clear that they were forced out of Ireland to the New World, so it seems illogical and ridiculous to assume that they went voluntarily, hence the status of slaves. It has been chronicled that in 1625, James I's son, Charles I, issued the decree, and it may be possible before his death in March 1625, but given the timeline on James's death, it would appear that his son, Charles, probably did issue the royal decree authorizing the Irish slaves. This included prisoners captured, those deemed to be common criminals, and rabble-rousers who were sold. They were to become the property of the English plantation owners in the North American colonies. As a result, tens of thousands of Irish men and women were sent to the Eastern American colonies, as well as Guyana, Antigua, and Montserrat. As well, between 1629 and 1632, as other Caribbean locations over the next few decades were infiltrated, but the exact number may never be known. By 1637, approximately 69% of the population of Montserrat were Irish. Many were indentured servants, yet some were slaves. The rationale was simple. Black slaves had to be purchased at a cost of around 20 to 50 pounds sterling, a huge sum of money in those days. However, Irish slaves were sold for 900 pounds of cotton per person, but also traded for tobacco and indigo in a straight barter system. It would appear that the Irish then became the largest source of slaves for English slave traders and plantation owners at that time, far surpassing the African slave trade until the early to mid-1700s. Between 1641, during the Irish Rebellion, to 1652, it has been stated that over 550,000 Irish were killed by English forces, and 300,000 more were sold as slaves, mostly military-aged men. Their children, especially women and girls, were sold and considered quite valuable in the domestic service roles. The greatest perpetrator of this was Oliver Cromwell, who defeated Charles I in 1649 during the English Civil War and had him executed. Cromwell, as Lord Protector, waged a ruthless war against the Irish, starting in 1649. By 1650, it is claimed that nearly 29,000 Irish were sold to planters in St. Kitts. During the decade of the 1650s, it is also claimed, as well as disputed, that around 100,000 Irish children, generally from 10 to 14 years of age, were taken from their parents and were also sold, and sold themselves also as slaves or indentured servants in the West Indies, Virginia, the Carolinas, and New England. It is also claimed that between 1651 and 1660, the Irish slaves far outnumbered the colonists in all areas. In 1652, Cromwell ordered that 12,000 Irish were to be sold to Barbados, and those numbers are not in dispute, only their status. On 1 May 1654, his "To Hell or to Connaught" proclamation was issued during the Act of Settlement of 1662. This was when the English began confiscating all Irish-held lands, and the native Irish were relocated west of the Shannon River. Those who resisted were sent to the West Indies as slaves or executed. His own words proclaimed, quote, "Those who fail to transplant themselves into Connaught or County Clare within 6 months shall be attainted of high treason, or to be sent to America or other parts beyond the seas. Those banished who return ought to suffer the pains of death as felons by virtue of this act without benefit of clergy." End quote. The English could kill the Irish without penalty, but selling them offered great profit. It is claimed that over 80,000 more Irish were sold, with 52,000 going to the colonies of Barbados and Virginia, but again, we cannot verify the exact numbers. Many argue that these were indentured servants, not slaves, yet there are no records of contracts between those forcibly removed and their benefactors. One may assume that, given the barter system of using tobacco and cotton as a trade item for workers, that these deported Irish were, in fact, slaves. In 1656, the Council of State ordered the roundup of 1,000 Irish girls and 1,000 Irish boys in their early teens, even some children, to be rounded up and sold to Jamaican planters. These numbers are in dispute, but do seem reasonable, as these would be children whose parents were already deported. Part of this order was an edict passed on October 2nd, 1665, which stated, quote, "Upon report of Committee for America concerning proposals for transporting persons from Long Island to Jamaica, to confer with the Committee for Jamaica," end quote. The persons were Irish, and no indentured servant would be released to go to Jamaica. These had to be forcibly exported Irish, who were already present in New York. In fact, some of the English receiving these Irish slaves seemed rather concerned, hence this following report, quote, "Commission appointing Cornelius Holland, Colonel Owen Rowe, Sir Thomas Roth, and 14 others accompany, by the name of the Governor and Company of the City of London, for the plantation of the Somers Islands, to take into consideration the present condition of those plantations, many well-affected persons there having been much oppressed and unjustly dealt with in relation to matters of conscience." End quote. Whitehall, 1653, June 28th. This situation, with the forcibly removed Irish not being a people to take subjugation lightly, appeared to have created the fear of an uprising, and this seems to be explained in the Whitehall document from November 18, 1656. Quote, "The Council of State to Captain Wilkinson. Importance of the Somers Islands to the interest of the Commonwealth. Supposition that the Spaniards will endeavor to get a footing there. Doubtful that a principle of disaffection may yet be retained by some of the inhabitants. He is encouraged to attend to his duties as commander of the fort, to keep a vigilant eye upon the malignant and discontented party, that they may have the less opportunity to prejudice the island's safety, and to use his best endeavors to secure the interest of the Commonwealth." End quote. This referred to the Irish population that must have been slaves, and they feared an uprising. No reason to worry about indentured servants. So, whether one accepts the reality of Irish slavery or not, the fact remains that there were Irish people forced into slavery. However, the exact numbers may never be known. We hope you enjoyed this segment of Forgotten History. Please click like and subscribe for free. And please stay tuned and be engaged and informed. Send us comments if you have questions or even show ideas, and we will respond to all requests and comments as soon as we can. Thank you.
What was that?
I tell you what, it's just disgusting. The more you see about that, you understand why the Irish hate the English. But what I don't understand is when they're saying, what do they say, indentured servants, and then they say slaves. What's the distinction between these two terms?
Well, indentured servant is like work. You're hired.
What? So you get paid more? Is that it?
Yeah. Well, you get paid, right? You're an employee. Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah.
And a servant doesn't get paid.
Well, an indentured servant doesn't always get paid necessarily, no. But a slave is definitely a slave, right? So they had the choice, right? They had two. They weren't just indentured servants; they were also slaves.
But indentured servants have freedom to leave, or are they just sold to the person in charge?
Well, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, I mean, the landowners will give you their name while you work for them. In a sense, it's like a term of endearment or something, or like a badge of honor.
Well,
I'm a Lancaster. I'm a Lancaster or whatever. You know what I mean? No, I'm a York. You know what I mean?
I'm an indentured servant, therefore I should be proud.
In a sense, yeah, because like a lot of it was work in the Americas. There's a lot of Africans who went over there who weren't slaves who went to work. Had to change their name, so then identity gets lost. So it's one of those.
I see.
But I'm gonna have to come back later, man. No one's jumped on.
Yeah. Drop it off and then start again later, man. It's cool.
Yeah, man. Big up the family, man. Come back later, man. Hours up.
Hyper.
Yeah, man. Love,
Big
man.
up, man.